Okay, happy Friday, everyone in PSW land, all of our friends in PSWs. My name is Miranda Romanovich. I'm the CEO of the Ontario PSW Association, and I'm host of PSW Podcast, where we come to you guys live every single Friday at 11-ish. Apparently today, we were stuck in a meeting and just finally made it in here now. But normally at 11 a.m., we come to you guys live and we talk about things pertaining to the PSW. We kind of air all the dirty laundry, say the things that nobody wants us to say, and really air some truths in the PSW world. As usual, I am joined by the right side of my brain, our Chief Operating Officer, Ian De Silva. So we are here again to talk about something that has been very obviously important to the PSWs that has been nonstop talked about since the last time we talked about it, Ian. PSW bullying in the workplace and
Absolutely.
bullying in the PSW profession. This is part two of this because you guys asked for it, you guys demanded it, and here we are. So we are now streaming here on Facebook, but also on TikTok. So know that we are trying to look at your questions. If we don't get to your questions, we'll do our best. And remember, as always, I go live on our TikTok after to do a Q&A to talk and hash things out. So Ian, bullying in the workplace for PSWs, what have we seen from our PSWs in the past week?
That it remains a huge issue, that it seems to be pandemic across the board. It doesn't seem to be isolated by any sort of healthcare setting. It doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems like the culture of fear is alive and well in healthcare in Ontario. That's what I got out of it, unless I missed something.
No, you didn't miss anything. I mean,
So,
that's the truth of it, right? I mean, it's something that I think some certain people, organizations would want us not to talk about. And but we're going to. And we're going to continue talking about it because I believe that, our voice is powerful, our collective voice is powerful, and we're going to air this dirty laundry and find ways to deal with it. I mean, so bullying, we've had a couple interesting questions actually that came across over the past week since we talked about bullying. And one of those questions, a lot of the questions was what defines bullying? I've had
yeah,
a couple of people ask me like, is am I being bullied if I walk into my shift in long-term care and my colleagues are giving me side eye? No, that's just rude.
exactly.
That's not, that's not bullying, you
It
know?
is if they do it every single day, continuously, and you've asked them to stop and you've addressed it and they still don't, then it becomes bullying. But once in a while, no, it's just people in a bad. You're right. It's being rude.
It's being rude,
And
it's being rude. And so what defines bullying, Ian? So what would be an example of bullying?
a bullying is anything where you have consistent negative behavior that's something that you want to end, that makes you uncomfortable. That it's one of those things where it's not a joke. It's where something turns in from, it could be something turns into a lighthearted humor into something that becomes actually a systemic bullying issue, making fun of someone's. I heard one where you have someone calling someone, "Oh, that's skinny legs," or that's someone who's extremely thin, and so they make fun of how slight that person is. Like that's bullying after a while, especially if that person is born that way. Like there are some things that it's not easily defined, but
No.
it's there.
I think we all know what it is. And especially too, like I think and unfortunately one of the biggest things that we heard that we saw, and I want to thank everyone who commented or sent us emails about this and really laid your insecurities out for us to see, was middle management bullying the PSWs.
Yeah.
That seems to be one of the biggest issues in healthcare, is middle management bullying the PSWs.
Well,
And what are your thoughts surrounding that?
Well, I think we're only as strong as our weakest link in healthcare. And I think anywhere where you have bullying is a demonstration of a lot of weak links in culture, in management, especially when you're looking at leadership culture. You said earlier, when we meet with high end, the owners of these big companies, the things they want to have happen at the grassroots, which is what we're talking about, never get translated to that management level. Now, why? I don't know. But that seems to be what we find, is that it becomes a culture of fear. Now, one theory I have, and it's a theory, is that when you're brought bullying issues, there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of resources that need to be spent in investigating and doing that work. It's human nature to just pretend it didn't happen, and it's easier to do nothing. That's my thoughts.
Well,
That's
because it makes everybody uncomfortable.
yeah,
And that's not an excuse, that's the reason, right? It makes everyone uncomfortable. You don't want to have to deal with it. And then we get into like the issues with cliques, right?
yeah,
Especially facility care, where like, oh, you're a morning shifter, or you're the afternoon shift. It's like I don't understand why we're constantly being siloed
yeah. I
as
don't get that.
PSWs into what shift we work or where we work. But I also think that it's a case of, again, I mean, there's so many different reasons why bullying can happen. I find, unfortunately, and I'm not putting this on every union,
No,
but, or any one union for that matter, but a lot of times it's the union stewards that are the ones that, and, there's no gray area in union stewards, I find. You either have the really, really good ones that are
most are.
phenomenal, and most are, and then you get the ones that are the bullies, the ones that control that facility, the ones that, bully the, shall I say, I don't want to say weaker because they're not weaker, but I find it's the PSWs that get bullied are the ones that really are doing their jobs and really care about the work that they're doing and are there for the right reasons.
Yeah,
These are the bullies. This is who are the ones that are getting bullied.
those are the ones who seem to be getting bullied. The people that are keep maintaining the standard, and then they get attacked for maintaining a standard. It ties back to the one thing we notice. Back to union stewards. The danger that we seem to run into with union stewards is when they sometimes become thinking that they are management.
Yeah.
So in places I worked at the federal level, there was a big problem with our stewards spending so much time negotiating with management and talking to management that they actually became managers, and they simply started voicing what the managers wanted them to voice. They were useless as stewards.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something that does happen in unions, where you have stewards that form very close and very personal relationships with their other senior members of that team, and those relationships really help to reinforce the negativity and those bullying, because if those two people who control, the steward and the boss, control what's happening in that culture, and you have no recourse because the steward, you report it to the steward just does nothing with it.
Yeah.
That's what we see.
That, a lot of that.
That's what seems to be the issue. It's the
A
disconnect
lot of that.
between the two. So that's why it's important, if you're a part of your association, if you file a grievance with your steward with regards to bullying, file a concurrent one with the association. We need to know if you filed something with your steward, because if it just simply goes to your union steward, it vanishes. If we follow up with the union steward and say we are aware of this, we're happy to work with you to resolve this issue, that puts them in a different position, and enables us to help better. Just a thought.
Well, no, and that's a really good point, Ian, because we do offer whistleblower protection as an association. That is a part of the whistleblower protection where you can blow the whistle on bullying, and and take steps to try to rectify it. And the association is more than happy to support you through the process and even step in where need be. Ian has done that numerous times with a lot of our members, where they've asked when they were in a meeting with their union that we want a representation from OPSWA is there as well. And that's their right. That's their right as a PSW and as a member of the association.
And
But
if I can jump in real quickly, if I may,
yeah,
what
yeah,
we find sometimes is that if the areas where we find bullying, when we ask if we can attend a meeting with regards to that issue, we're
yeah,
told no.
yeah.
Only the union is allowed to have sit in that meeting, and the people that were involved in the initial complaint are permitted to be involved in that meeting. So you need to be careful, and that's why let's talk a little bit about what some of the things we can do. And we actually have a legal seminar coming up on the 14th of October that has to do with your rights in the workplace. So this is something that we were approached by the Mississauga Community Legal Center. So it's on October 14th. It's at noon. Please have a look at our website and sign in, register. A lot of good information about protecting your rights. Just want to put that in there now while I have a chance.
And that's important because you know what? At the end of the day, I mean, I remember when I started as a PSW. I don't know how many videos have started with me saying that, but I remember when I started as a PSW in 2006. I didn't even know I had a union until I was 1 year in.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's a lot of times you just kind of get thrown into the position and you don't really know what your rights are. You don't know what, and the PSWs, you guys have a lot of rights. You guys have a
Well,
lot of rights.
we have been told, remember, but also we run into unions where we were running calls where a student union said, we actually, even though you pay union dues, we don't represent you. They've said that. I've been in meetings where unions have said, yes, we know you pay your union dues, but we actually don't really care. We're focusing is on the higher echelons of our membership, which pay more dues. So be warned. You need
Be
to have
warned.
you
Yep.
need a trifecta when dealing with bullying. Um, so yeah, that's just the
You know,
truth.
another thing too that I saw a lot of on our page, we're talking about bullying, is they report it. So a lot of PSW said that they would report the bullying and nothing would happen about it, and or they would be made to be the aggressor and not the victim.
That's yeah, that seems to be common even in like all throughout society though,
Oh,
doesn't it?
it does. I mean, I've dealt
Yeah,
with it with
but
my
I mean, but
kids.
it's
Yeah.
extremely intolerable when you're being told. And let's refocus this back on patient care. Like at the end of the day, bullying. If you're getting a PSW that's bullied, your patients are bullied. Whether
Yes.
because if you can't even monitor the bullying of your staff, do not tell me that you have good patient care. Don't tell me
That's
that.
always no, don't,
Right?
because you know what, I'll tell you, like it's vicious out there. It can
Oh
be
yeah.
very vicious. And I don't want this to take anyone from being in the PSW field
Oh
because
God,
it's
no.
a wonderful field to be in. However, there is, every field you go into, no matter what, even working at Walmart, is you're gonna have issues.
Oh yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter where you work, you're going to
Yeah.
have issues. But in the
True.
PSW world, this is something that for decades nobody wanted to talk about. No one was willing to talk about that there was this massive issue of bullying. Unfortunately, most of it seems to be in long-term care. That's where we see most of it come through. And so I think, if you put stress on people, they're working short all the time, there's a heavy workload, there's, again, not enough PSWs on the floor, people get stressed out, things happen. There's no excuse for bullying, though.
But then
Absolutely none.
and then that compounding by the fact that how many supervisors does a PSW actually have?
Well,
Family
exactly.
nurses, RPNs, managers, DOCs, all these people oversee. So in a hierarchical system, it can be a rather tenuous position. That being said, that's why PSWs need to be aware of this. You guys play an enormous role in ending this bullying across long-term care. We need to start somewhere.
You need to, like I said in our last video, Ian, is as PSWs, nobody understands a PSW better than a PSW.
No.
And we need to really stick together. Nurses stick together, doctors stick together, PSWs need to stick together. They're like and I'll say it again, there's no room for egos in healthcare. I think that's gonna be my tagline, to be perfectly honest. But there definitely is a lot of egos. And what blows my mind is how, as a PSW, you're working with the most vulnerable people anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
We work with the most vulnerable individuals. How can you be so cruel to your colleagues?
Yeah. I don't know.
It does not, it doesn't, I can't
It's
compute
not
that
compatible.
in my brain. I'm like, it's how can you be, like you become a PSW because you want to make a difference and you want to care for the most vulnerable and you want to be there for them.
Mhm.
But then you're gonna go down the hall and, like you said, make fun of your coworker because she's super skinny or she's bigger, or it's a
Some stupid
he,
reason.
and he's for some stupid reason. And then you go back and perform proper care. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening. And then all that creates is animosity in the workplace, which affects the residents.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, guys, at the end of the day, why does everyone keep forgetting about the main reason why we become PSWs? The main reason why we work in these places is to care for those residents.
Well, it actually applies for everyone in those facilities, not just PSWs.
No, that's
Same
for
thing.
nurses and DOCs and administrators and middle
Same thing.
management and unions.
The culture there it needs to change, and I'm sure most of them are, but the ones that are bad need to change to become a lot less tolerant of bullying right now. We find that a lot of these are sometimes in isolated homes that are in smaller towns. I've seen that. We've seen bad cases of that, where you're in an isolated community and no one oversees anything. So it can be
Well,
quite.
no, because it's your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, or sorry, yeah, your boyfriend's ex-girlfriend is the administrator.
Or the administrator has a famous last name from that town. Like
That's
her,
happened.
like where the administrator's last name is also the same name as the town.
Yeah.
and everyone knows her great great grandfather founded the town, so no one is going to talk to her bad about her. It
No.
literally happens in Ontario like that. Like that is still very much a reality. So that is a step towards creating a cultures of fear. Those are the environments where cultures of fear thrive.
And this is where the PSWs can step in.
Yeah, PSWs
PSWs,
are
be the,
leaders.
oh, you guys are leaders. I don't want anyone to tell you guys that you're not leaders. PSWs perform like 95% of bedside care across Canada.
Yeah,
You guys are the ones that know the residents, the clients, the patients the best. You control the dialogue. You can
yeah,
control the narrative.
very true.
It's very true. But they just have to have that confidence. And because of years of, feeling like we are invisible, feeling like, we're not important, make yourself important. Force the issue.
Force the issue, especially if it becomes abuse, because bullying, as we said before, is abuse at the end of the
It is
day.
abuse. Yeah.
And the legal term is harassment. So bullying is just simply harassment. You can't have harassment at work. It's a huge no-no. The reason why it gets tolerated, as I said earlier, is because it sounds kind of silly, but the paperwork, the steps needed to take to investigate, these are incredibly costly to facilities that have from any company that needs to investigate them. And it's a lot of work and it's not fun. Easier to sweep it under the rug. It's
Just
easier
sad
to sweep it under the rug.
because it really does affect people's mental health and it really does affect, PSW's well-being, and then it trickles down to the residents' care.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
and if you're
at the
experiencing abuse, reach out to us, reach out to the Ontario Association of Residents Councils, right? There's all sorts of places you could let us know. We can communicate with. So
Absolutely. And so what is the association doing about it? So the association, we are actually going to be, I know when I say this word, every PSW on the planet is going to cringe. We are going to do a survey. Okay. So, but this survey is going to be asking, you can stay anonymous. It's going to be asking questions about bullying in your workplace. The whole purpose of this survey is when we do go to the government, which we will with this issue, we need to have data. We need to have proof, even though we all know this is going on. We need to have proof that this is going on, that we can show them on paper. So I'd really appreciate it if all PSWs, once the survey comes out, that you do fill it out. Like I said, you can stay anonymous, because the change, unfortunately, needs to happen in two parts. It needs to happen from the bottom. It needs to happen from the top. It needs to happen for both sides at the same time. And I will tell you guys right now, the government is not aware of this. They don't know this is going on. And with
and can I let me jump in?
yes,
Inspections, when they do Ministry of MLTC inspections, they inspect everything, but they don't inspect culture.
no,
Okay. So just remember that the inspections are not a tool for bullying or anything. So
no,
just make
but
sure.
they could be if we do this right. They could be moving forward. You know what I mean? Like it.
Well, we need a reporting database that can start pinning where these are coming from and then creating, and that's exactly why the survey would be helpful because it would be able to pinpoint where these are happening. Is there some sort of theme that runs through these facilities? Is there something that we don't know yet? So yeah, it's an excellent opportunity.
It's a great opportunity, absolutely. And so we're going to be doing a survey. We're going to be doing posts about bullying. If you support it, share it on your social media platforms. Let's really get this out there. Let's not, like, I'm tired of hiding the dirty laundry of the PSW world. This is something that we need to scream about because this needs to change. Because at the end of the day, the PSW is all about patient-centered care, and we're about your well-being. That's our main goal at the association, is your well-being as PSWs.
And honestly, and this is not bullying, but having to do 32 clients for one PSW, that's
It's
not
not bullying.
bullying, but there's something wrong there at that facility. That's kind of the other side where that could be a dangerous environment where bullying can flourish because they
Yeah.
know that they have an overworked staff and there's no one else. There's not they don't have time to do anything.
No, absolutely. And if you not, like, and
And that ties into our ratio thing. That was where I was going with it. Sorry.
yeah, no, the because we're still also fighting for a better ratio, and especially in our long-term care facilities and our retirement homes. Retirement homes will be a different kind of fight, but long-term care, we're looking at a one PSW to 6 residents. We got to start somewhere. But I mean, I was speaking to a veteran PSW the other day, Ian, like I told you, just really quick on ratios, and she said they work short all the time.
Yeah.
She's a night PSW, and on her ward is 40 people that she has by herself. 40 because they're
So
understaffed. And
and
I
and
said to
don't
her,
give me
when
that.
you look at the schedule, I said, what does the schedule say? And she's like, there's all these gaps in the schedule where, shifts aren't being filled. And I said, well, how many PSWs are on your roster? She goes, oh my God, like 500.
Yeah.
So there is no reason why these homes are not being fully
No.
staffed.
No.
And I firmly believe that if we can get a ratio in place in Ontario, the employers will have no choice but to fully staff these shifts.
Yeah, and look at the reasons why. I mean, okay, you're an employer, you're in one of these facilities, and your job is to staff. You give them money from the government, you staff, you have enough to fill the government, so which means next year you're not going to get as much money. So what do? You intentionally short staff yourself, cry short that you don't have enough hours, blame the PSWs for not showing up to their shifts, and you're next year they are qualifying for more money, which the cycle repeats. The PSW doesn't get any help.
Oh,
No.
no,
Anyway,
that's the truth of it. Actually, we just had something here on TikTok. They said, when you have a manager siding with the bullies because they are friends.
that's the problem. That is a culture of fear because
Yeah.
that works really well for the manager because like this is so easy. I have my muscle that can maintain order on the floor and I don't have to
Kind
do
of
it.
like the mob, not gonna lie. It's
It
kind of like
is.
the
It's
mob.
the
Yeah,
same
it sure
principle.
is.
It really is. It's not far off. Like if you don't do what we say, we're going to make your life hell. This is my job, my livelihood. I have no choice. I have to comply. What are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? Well, you're supposed to call Ops One. You're
Yeah.
supposed to email the association because I will tell you, all the PSWs that are listening, Ian and I are not afraid of anyone. We've
No,
been
not if
through
you're
it.
dealing, not if you're dealing with long-term care facilities that receive government money, and have to pay shareholders at the same time as balancing patient rights. So no, we don't. We're not. We will address those situations. Absolutely,
Absolutely, we will address those situations. So always make sure to reach out to us.
absolutely.
If you have any bullying, if you're a member, it puts you in a better position because then we can actually help you. If you're not a member, unfortunately, we can give you some advice, but we can't really
But
help.
before we go, just a couple of things. Remember, October 14th, we're doing the Mississauga Community Legal Services Workplace Rights, and next week we're doing two our Rainbow Faith and Freedom are doing two webinars. Also, just making sure that we know the rights of LGBT in relation to religious tolerances. So jump online and register if you can. I had to get that plug in there. So
All in our Facebook. Okay, so I think we had a great discussion today, Ian. I think that the topics of ratios and bullying are definitely not gone. I think these are going to definitely be continue to be talked about in the coming weeks and months, moving forward as we kind of come up with a game plan on how we are going to really advocate for this and try to enact massive change. PSWs, remember that you guys are the change makers, you guys are the leaders, and you have the ability to make change where you are. And so, have faith in yourself and know that at least you have us backing you. Very much so.
absolutely.
You have the association backing you. So, Ian, I'm going to jump on my Q&A now for TikTok for the next little while. Thank you so much for joining me again. Thank you everybody for coming out yet again on a Friday. We really appreciate you guys. Join us next week. I think at 11 a.m. we might be doing PSW podcast at night. So stay tuned for that information on Facebook. Great conversation, Ian. Thank you so much.
Well,
And with
awesome.
that, we're going to say, Opswa
All
out.
right.